Frank, good afternoon. What's on your mind today?
Well, what's not on my mind? The most thing that's compelling Torontonians right now, I believe, is the article in the Toronto Star where they have said, and usually the polls in Toronto are pretty close to the opinions of the people. You know, a lot of polls are basically biased by whoever's running them. But I believe that this poll is correct. But John Tory looks like he's in the lead, and it looks like he's a serious man. And he made a mistake in a policy that he picked for his platform when he was running for premier, but he never was caught embarrassing himself. So I think that people that's what they want in Toronto to run the city.
Yeah, and just
they've had enough of the carnival.
Yeah, and just to let our viewers and listeners know, the poll, 600 Torontonians, conducted between July 2nd and 5th by Nanos Research, 39% John Tory, 33% Olivia Chow, 22% Rob Ford. None of the other candidates received more than 5% support.
I find this really interesting because I was listening to John Tory do an interview probably about a week or so ago. He thought he was in the third position. So not only am I surprised he's vaulted to number one, I'm surprised that Olivia Chow's dropped to number two. The whole thing with Rob Ford, yeah, I guess it indicates that he is falling fast. But I thought this was Olivia Chow's contest to win. I thought she was, I can't believe she's fallen to number two.
Oh, I don't think so, Perry, in all due respect. You're a Torontonian now, and I'm not. But this is John Tory's race to lose. I mean,
100%. It was the same as Tim Hudak. It was his race to lose in Ontario, and he lost it.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. A political strategist, Warren Kinsella, who is also part of the Chow campaign, did say that a lobbyist for the group that paid for the poll is a former advisor to Tory. So you always wonder how accurate, if these polls are slanted or not. But again, the latest poll shows John Tory at 39%, Olivia Chow at 33%.
Well, I saw him speak. I was at the Taste of Lawrence on Saturday. And, usually people don't give a rat's ass in events like that of politicians going up there and yapping. They just don't care to listen to promises and rhetoric. And Rob Ford was on his way there. I heard John Tory speak on the stage, and I was quite impressed, to be honest with you. He was very sincere. Didn't make any remarks, negative remarks, which I think is going to help him, against Rob Ford or disrespected him in any way. I just think that John Tory is exactly what Billy Waters said. This is his race to lose. He's a polished, very intelligent man. He's got the support of a lot of powerful people. You guys called it the cabal, but anyways, whatever you guys want to
call it a cabal.
Whatever you guys want to call it, you call it. But I'm very impressed with him, and he looks determined to win. He's going to be the next mayor of Toronto, and I think if he likes it, he'll be the mayor for a long, long time. He reminds me, when I was very young, my father was a big fan of Mr. Crombie, and he reminds me of that very well-educated, very conservative, but at the same time accessible by the common man. I think he's going to do very well for Toronto. He knows business, he understands business, and running a city is business, and not just... I don't even want to get into it. Perry, do you like John Tory as mayor for the city?
I have kind of sort of, I'm not sure. And I've known John Tory for a long time, back when he was like the, with the Canadian Football League. So I've known John like personally. And my only concern about John Tory is, will he make the mistake of putting out his platform and alienating his public, or will he just play it so close to the vest that you really won't even know up until it comes to the vote and afterwards what he's going to do?
Well, first of all, he's never been mayor. He's never been a councillor. So, in my opinion, if I was his campaign manager, I would just tell him to say that he's going to do the best for the taxpayers of the city. He's going to look at all the things that are very necessary. and try to find a way to continue funding them without, you robbing Mary to pay Paul, or vice versa. But once you start saying bullshit, 25, 30 years ago, when nobody read a label, they go in the supermarket and just bought whatever they bought by brand. Everybody's very well educated now. They read labels. They know. And as you guys know, I'm giving you an analogy. They can tell when a politician's full of shit, and now they can tell almost right away. Rather,
the Star's
the election.
The Star's going to have a tough time supporting him because he's a conservative. They never supported a conservative in their lives. 4 years ago, to this time, they
have no choice but to support him.
Before
they can't support. They hate Rob Ford's guts.
Hang on a sec, Frank. Go ahead, Bill.
They came out one day before the election to tell us that the new mayor would be the councillor
George Smitherman.
Yes,
Right.
Georgie Smitherman. George Smitherman lost by so much they didn't embarrass him by getting the count. Now, the Star has to explain that. I can tell you this. I was a Star support. I had the Star and a subscriber for 48 years. I called the morning of the election, after the election, cancel. And they phoned me once a day for a month to find out why. And I told them the same. I said, you made a bad mistake. You were the campaign manager for George Smitherman, and the poll that you put in the paper the day before ruined your credibility as far as I'm concerned. See you later, fumigator. And I love the Star.
Well, I want to respond again. I don't think the Star has any choice but to support John Tory. And no matter what his political views are, they're not going to support Olivia Chow. And it's common knowledge, even the Martians and the fucking people on Pluto know that the Star and Rob Ford are enemies. So that's what I'm saying, and that's why the Star published that.
Using that as a criteria, Frank, I'll bet that Tory gets the support of all three major papers.
100%.
Yeah. So, because, as you pointed out, and I did when we talked about the cabal is in charge. The cabal is taken over, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see any reason to be concerned as a former citizen of the city about the city of Toronto in the hands of the cabal. But they're in the hands of the cabal, and money will talk, and money will run the city. And that's not all bad.
I think we're going to get a huge voter turnout this time. I just think that Mayor Ford, if he has something to put down in the history books under his name, is that he's made everybody aware that there's a mayor. So I'm sure everybody's going to vote to put him out of his misery.
Yeah, that's certainly the impression I get from the polls and seeing the anger to Rob Ford since he returned. I mean, you had the shirtless jogger, and now you've got shirtless protests, it seems, wherever Rob Ford is. That I think people were, for the most part, willing to give him a break and willing to give him a pass, but as much as I think Rob Ford has tried to sell himself as a sympathetic figure, it's not working. He's not.
No, and the rehabilitation overkill. Nobody gets rehabilitated in the state he was in 2 years, let alone 2 months.
Yeah.
That was all.
Yeah, but he's also, in all fairness to him, giving you a disclaimer that he's done it just to try to fix it, and he knows that he's still very susceptible to, and I'm just quoting the terms that he's used, drunken stupor. And it's over. The carnival's over. You know, they're packing up the fucking tent. It's done, in my view. Yep. Harry, do you think there's still a chance of the carnival sticking around?
Yeah, it's going to stick around for 4 months. You can have people going crazy. You can scream at them. You can do all you want, but it's still going to go through this process of 4 months. And another factor, in my opinion, why this thing is going the wrong way, all of a sudden now there's a lot of attention towards Doug Ford. I thought he was a fairly, vanilla type of individual, but there's some things he said in recently that have really pissed off a lot of people.
But he's a good guy. What I think it is he's getting emotional because he loves his brother. They're a very close-knit family. And sometimes when you talk out of emotion, you make mistakes.
He's his brother's campaign manager, so now it's kind of like guilt by association. I think there's collectively, it's going to take some kind of swerve, whether it's a PR move or something.
There's no PR move. Even if they give everybody free fucking turkey and pizza for a year, nobody's going to vote for him. It's over. You don't think so, Tony?
I think it is over for Rob Ford. The only thing that might save him again are his diehards, and they seem to be.
There isn't anymore.
I was going to say they're shrinking in numbers. That's for sure. But you know what?
There's no more in his camp. He had some counselors that were pretty close to him.
Yeah.
But listen, Tony, you've been around long enough to understand. When you're up top, you got the hanger-oners, right?
No, for sure.
When somebody's on their way fucking down, you know what they do? They don't reach out to help you. They throw you an anchor.
But I will say this, Frank, we're still, 4 months away? A lot of things can happen in 4 months. I'm not saying it's going to turn around for Rob, but a lot of things can happen.
I think that Perry brought up a very, very incredible point that his fundamental foundation of sanity was his brother, and he's dragged his brother into the insanity. And once his brother, who was the credible one out of the two, loses credibility, I don't think there's one leg to fucking stand on. Is that what you were implying, Perry?
Yeah, I'm saying that there's now, for lack of a better word, the waters have been polluted more than they already were. And I'm waiting to see now when it's really going to start to get dirty and ugly. Because I don't
think it will, Perry. I think Olivia Chell's learned her lesson, and I think they're going to stay away from him. And here's the irony. And you guys jump in, and I'll shut up and listen. If you take a look, with all the antics that he has done over the course of the last 24, 25 months, the Prime Minister stayed far, far, far away from this. The Premier stayed far, far away from this. And I think that anybody who has a chance of being a mayor, which would be Olivia Chow or John Tory, they've learned from some very seasoned politicians.